Hello and welcome to this comprehension exercise on Roald Dahl. Let's have a read of this together. The 60s brought mixed emotions, blending personal tragedy with professional success. In December 1960, the pram-carrying 4-month-old Theo Dahl was struck by a New York City cab, causing the baby to suffer from hydrocephalus and accumulation of fluid in the brain. As part of his treatment, his ever-inventive father helped to design the Wade-Dahl Till WTT valve, which is still used to alleviate this particular condition. In 1962, his first daughter, Olivia, died of measles, aged just 7. And then in 1965, while pregnant with their 5th child, Lucy Patricia Neal suffered from cerebral anomalies, which left her severely debilitated. The couple's struggles as she learned to walk and talk again were dramatized in the Patricia Neal story, in which Dahl himself became a character on the big screen, portrayed by matinee idol Dirk Bogarde. So meanwhile, Hollywood had come calling for Dahl, the screenwriter. He had befriended Ian Fleming, the creator of James Bond, during their service years, and was responsible for adapting 2 Fleming novels into the classic films You Only Live Twice and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. He was less impressed with what Hollywood did to his own Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which had been published in 1964, disowning the film version for changes that it made to the narrative, although Charlie and Willy Wonka remained beloved by generations of children. Dahl continued to write prolifically through his adult work, although his adult work was increasingly outshone by his work for children. His eccentric creations given life by quirky illustrator Quentin Blake, with whom he formed a fertile partnership. The pair hit a hot streak in the 1980s, producing The Twits, George's Marvelous Medicine, The BFG, The Big Friendly Giant, The Witches and Matilda, all of which quickly became regarded as children's classics. They were mostly written from his shed in Great Missenden, Buckinghamshire, where he had settled with new wife Felicity following his divorce from Neil. The famous shed today forms part of the Roald Dahl Museum. Celebrating his life's work, Dahl died in 1990, aged 74, from a rare cancer of blood. Hopefully the numerous stage and screen adaptations that continue to bring his memorable creations to new generations would have met with the great man's approval. While Dahl wrote many well-loved stories throughout his life and is perhaps best known for his literary achievements, he is not a figure without controversy. During interviews in the 1980s and 1990s, Dahl openly expressed anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish views. His comments have been widely condemned by many as a result. The Royal Mint opted not to commemorate his literary achievements in the form of commemorative coins as a result of his historical comments. So he used to live in a place called Great Missenden in Buckinghamshire, which is not too far from High Wycombe, and his wife's name was Felicity. In the 1960s, he had very, very mixed emotions and some personal tragedies, as you can see. In the 1960s, the pram carrying his 4-month-old son was struck by a New York City cab, causing the baby to suffer from hydrocephalus and accumulation of fluid in the brain. So this particular incident caused fluid to come out of the brain on this poor child. And again, later on in 1962, his first daughter, Olivia, she died of measles when she was only 7 years old. And then in 1965, while pregnant with their 5th child, Lucy Patricia Neal, the first wife of Roald Dahl, she suffered from cerebral aneurysms, which left her severely debilitated. And there have been some serious tragedies in Roald Dahl's life, but he rose above these later on to become one of the world's most famous children's authors. So do have a read of this particular text again, and you have some questions or answer thereafter, and we'll follow these up in our next lesson. Good luck.